listeners. My name is Cliff Ratza. I'm the author of 2 ongoing series of novels, the Lightning Brain series and its sequel, the Keepers series. I also have a writing coach for Prime Solutions slot, and I teach at universities, and I have a consulting business. If you would like to learn more about me, my books, or my writing coach activities, or make suggestions or comments, please contact us via the lightningbrainseries.com website. The title of this podcast is Why the Great Books Surus, which is my paraphrasing of the title of an essay outlining the ongoing war between the liberal arts and the sciences, which is using Great Books courses as the battlefield. And I chose the word surus, it's spelled T-S-U-R-I-S, because it illustrates one of the complaints that one side fires at the other. And what is the complaint? Well, the complaint is this: the deliberate use of arcane words that flaunts one's erudition. In other words, the deliberate use of fancy words instead of simpler ones. And I'm certain you know which side is the target. You might know the definition of the word spelled T-S-U-R-I-S and pronounced surus if you are Jewish or know some words in the Yiddish language. Surus means trouble or woe or aggravation. It is a Yiddish word, and Yiddish is a language used by Jewish people in Central and Eastern Europe before the Holocaust. It was originally a German dialect with words from Hebrew and several modern languages, and is today spoken mainly in the U.S., Israel, and Russia. I didn't know the word until I Googled it. I love computers and the internet because they make word lookup so easy. I think you would agree that modern educational systems should always promote the use of new technologies because they make learning easier, faster, and more convenient. By the way, the subtitle of this talk is A Simple Scholar Synthesis. I consider myself a simple scholar, and that all my podcasts I pull together and then synthesize what I have found from material I found in articles and books talking about topics I think listeners in general and authors and writers in particular might like. And I don't include my opinions. The purpose of this podcast is to outline the war between the liberal arts, they are the defenders of the classical university, and the sciences. They are promoting the modern university system. Just about everyone should be interested in this topic because they need a college degree or some sort of equivalent on their resume if they want to land jobs that build a satisfactory career. And authors and writers should be particularly interested because the characters in their books often deal with the challenges of getting an education or a job, or of understanding enough about the world they inhabit. And as I said above, today's battlefield consists of Great Books courses. So I'll start by connecting Great Books courses to universities. And to do that, I will first define the classical universal educational system, which started in ancient Greece and contains the trivium and quadrivium. Plato talked about this educational system for the philosopher kings in his Republic. According to Plato, a philosopher king is a ruler who possesses a love of wisdom, as well as intelligence, reliability, and a willingness to live a simple life. Such are the rulers of his utopian city. Now the trivium consists of grammar, logic, and rhetoric, while the quadrivium consists of arithmetic, astronomy, music, and geometry. When mastered, students should be able to see a unified idea of what reality is. The first true university was founded in Bologna, Italy, in 1088. The Latin phrase Universitas Magistrorum et Scholarium indicated an association of teachers and scholars. At this early date, universities were more of an association or a guild for learning particular crafts. And it grew from there, adding breadth and depth and complexity as civilizations moved into the Renaissance, which was a time of civilization's rebirth and rededication to the accomplishments of ancient Greece and Rome. Scholasticism emerged as a dedicated and educated, and by educated that meant having the ability to read Latin or Greek and do basic arithmetic. So it was emerged as a dedicated and educated handful of scholars, studied, and then taught from the books and manuscripts that have been preserved in monasteries. Now here's a useful definition of scholasticism. It's a medieval school of philosophy that employed a critical method of philosophical analysis predicated upon a Latin Catholic theistic curriculum which dominated teaching in the medieval universities in Europe from about 1100 to 1700. And as the spirit of the Renaissance grew and spread through Europe, so did knowledge and a desire to understand via reason rather than blind faith. And the Renaissance became the Enlightenment. People became optimistic and energetic. Science and trade pushed nations to explore new worlds. And mankind's industry turned into modernity. As areas of specialized learning emerged, such as distinct hard and soft sciences, different branches of philosophy and the fine arts, medicine, laws, so on and so forth, emerged from the quadrivian disciplines. Modernity needed all sorts of specialization. Polymath people, also known as generalists, became displaced by subject matter experts. Jack of all trades, master of none, a figure of speech used in reference to a person who dabbled in many skills rather than gaining expertise by focusing on one, became a liability, even though the original version, a jack of all trades, was a compliment for a person who is good at fixing and has a very good broad knowledge. Well, far-sighted university leaders in America, the New World, saw that the classical teachings and the classical academic model in which lecturers concentrated on assimilating the old teachings and then imparting the wisdom to students didn't advance the frontiers of knowledge that technology-driven progress demanded. The American Research University came into being in the mid to late 19th century and has been the what and how model for universities worldwide ever since. It is now a progress-driven PhD faculty of subject matter experts devoted to research beyond the cutting edge, who train the next generation of PhDs to do even more. Reason and science and logic that lead to material and technological progress command leadership that the liberal and fine arts once held. But the old guard didn't roll over and relinquish power. The liberal arts fought to maintain control. C.P. Snow's 1959 lectures and books talking about the two cultures and the scientific revolution urge both sides to declare a truce and hold a reasoned debate to find some middle ground. Well, both sides have points to make. I remember a 1960s folk singer lamenting that his college education admirably equipped him to make a fine life for himself in the 16th century. In other words, students today have to learn the practical and technological skills to get a good job. But those promoting a liberal education and the fine arts argue that if students don't learn enough about them, they will lack the grace and wisdom to move societies in the right direction. They say that science is amoral. Only the liberal arts can make decisions regarding what is truth, what is right or wrong, what should societies do. And so, the great books courses came into being to reach a middle ground. It is impossible for a student to learn in traditional manner all the liberal arts and still have the time and energy to earn their advanced subject matter expert PhDs. So great books courses would give students enough grounding in the liberal arts to equip them for general lifelong learning. And two recent books made this case that has been made many times before in the past 60 or so years. The books I'm referring to are Rescuing Socrates, How the Great Books Changed My Life, and Why They Matter for a New Generation. The book is written by Roosevelt Montias. The other book is The Lives of Literature, Reading, Teaching, Knowing by Arnold Weinstein. Here is a snippet from a review characterizing the books. Mixing passion and humor, they demonstrate how the greatest books give us the knowledge to illuminate our lives as well as society in order to make the right choices in today's uncertain world. But another review digs a bit deeper and says, the tone of these books is chastising, similar to the disapproval of ongoing academic trends as stated in Alan Bloom's 1987's surprising bestseller, The Closing of the American Mind. Might not it be more charitable to commend those teaching great books courses instead of criticizing them, and to give students helpful rewrites of the great books instead of forcing them to read the originals, which even the best scholars find onerous? Aren't we being close-minded by categorically saying that science has killed our seeking knowledge in philosophy and religion? Academic institutions and what they promote and how they do so must adapt to the times. If they do not, they die. Evolve or go extinct. So the challenge facing those teaching great books courses is to include from an overwhelming list of candidates, summaries of what those great thinkers and their great books from the past can tell us today. If any of you have taken a great books course, you might agree with the reviewer's conclusion, but I will leave that up to you. Well, what else could I say? Well, I could start by listing some of the great books all of us should read, and why. But you would soon tire and tune out. So the best I can do is simply encourage you to remember the importance of the liberal arts for making us wise decision makers. And that's a wrap. Thank you for listening, and bye-bye until next time.